I posted a question box on my Instagram, and most of the questions I got were about what if my offer isn't selling? Why are people not buying in my launch? I've gotten people into my program, but now no more people are buying. How can I fix this? So I decided that the second episode of the 6-Figure Secrets is about why your launch sucks, but also how you can fix it. Not to be rude, but I just know that a lot of people get really, really demotivated when they're selling something and it's not immediately working. So I hope that today I can pinpoint a couple of spots where I always see it going wrong with my clients and also offer you some solutions and some tweaks so that if you're currently in a launch that isn't doing really well or like in a little bit of a launch dip, as my former client texted me, she texted me and I was like, well, I'll record a podcast episode for you. That you just feel motivated to go and fix it. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to Fail to Win, a show where we love to make mistakes and learn from them so you can turn your passion into profits and live life on your own terms. I'm Amy van der Putten from FastForwardAmy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode with simple strategies every Tuesday. There is nothing as fun as getting sales in from an online offer during a launch, even if it's not an online offer. And there is at the same time nothing as soul-breaking as launching something that isn't working well, because it confronts you with all of your fears. When you post about a new thing you're offering and people aren't immediately buying, it brings up a lot of stuff. And this is the first thing I want to talk to you about, is that it's not about you. I know it feels really personal if people aren't buying. I know you feel a bit hurt, a bit ashamed, a bit stuck. But all of those negative feelings are simply about you're just doing something for your company. Something in your company isn't really working well right now. That doesn't mean that you are worthless or that you did something wrong or that you are not liked by people. I just want to say this because I know as entrepreneurs, we take things so personally, but it's not about you. And I've noticed that the more negative we feel, the more stress and anxiety we let in, our prefrontal cortex just plummets. And this is kind of like a vicious cycle, because what happens is once you start getting really upset about a launch not performing well, your brain is basically shutting down all of your creativity, your visionary, and your high energy. And this is why a lot of people come to me and then they say, oh, I'm not going to post right now anymore because it doesn't feel well. I'm not in a good vibe. So if I post something now, it's not going to work. That's not necessarily true, although it is true that people will feel some of your vibe, but we got to get you back to a place of high frequency. So the first thing I want you to invite you to do is really look at this very objectively. You decided to sell something, you are selling it now, and it's not going the way you want it to go. Today, we're going to fix that. We're going to pinpoint where it might have gone wrong, not where you might have made mistakes. And we all do this. I'm too hard on myself. You're too hard on yourself. But this is just a business thing. When the supermarket sees the berries aren't selling well, they sit down and they're like, how can we make sure we sell more berries? They're not like, we're bad berries. We're worthless. You're not a bad berry. We're just going to look at how you can sell more, okay? Objectifying your sales and also objectifying failure, by the way, helps so much in just like business growth and just not taking it personal. Okay, so the first thing that might have happened why you might not be selling as much as you think you are, well, first and foremost, we had the mindset thing. You might be taking it too personal. And we are now going to look at it objectively. So the second thing that might be going on is it might be that your product is a bit too vague and too broad. And I say this because I run my Million Mastermind and I have this often with my clients, and I tell them, make it narrow enough, make it solve one thing, make it concise enough. Don't make it too broad. You should be able to explain what your product does, especially if it's an online course or something, in one sentence. So for me, I had this happen to me, by the way, in my business. I should say not to me, but in my business, also working on the objectifying. And I noticed that my sales were going down and down of one of my products, but I also noticed that it was getting really hard to explain what the product actually did because it was so broad. So when I created my newest product, my online business club and I created a challenge for it, I made it really concise and was like, this is a 21-day challenge that helps you set up your online income of €1,000. That was it. And I repeated it and repeated it. And so it became really clear to clients what it was. And also for me, I could say like, oh yeah, that's included. Oh no, that's not included because that's beyond the scope of this program. So this is just a first check that you want to do in your business. Might it be that you made the product too broad or that it's too difficult to explain what it is and what it does? And the fix here is that you get to change the messaging in the middle of your launch. You get to switch up the tagline. So this is something I like to look at in a launch. I like to have my plan made. I like to have my bonuses set, all of it, or at least the dates and the amounts and the generals, like tactic, like when am I hosting a webinar, all of that. But what I will always allow myself to change is the messaging if need be. To be honest, right now, after having done over 6 million in sales, I know how important it is to just have it be really clear from the get-go so that I don't have to change it in the middle of the launch. But I'm here to tell you that it might be that your messaging just isn't hitting home and that it's okay to not necessarily change the product, but choose a different tagline. Maybe you want to tweak the name a little bit. Maybe you need to talk to a couple more people to see what's their languaging, what are they actually looking for. But you do want to make it so that you get to explain what your product is and what it accomplishes, ideally in one sentence. And if this isn't possible, it might be that you did pick the wrong product to sell. But just be really honest about that and don't hide under fear of failure. In many cases, the product is right because you created it for a reason. You know that there's a need for it, but you might be promoting the need and not the want. So go and talk to people, figure out what it is that they are wanting, and make sure that you get to position that in the name and the tagline of your product. The third mistake that happens in your business, well, not you, why your sales might not be going the way you want them to go. This actually just often happens at the beginning of a launch. So for example, when I launch something, I even create the dropping of my wait list of a lead magnet. That's also a launch. So a lot of people make the mistake that they think it's only when they have to sell something that it's difficult and that they have to prime it. But even dropping your wait list needs some priming. So what happens is, and one of the reasons why a lot of launches don't go well is because there isn't enough lead up time to the point of the actual launch. And I call this priming. You need to always prime your audience long enough. If we prime something well, we are going to sell well. If we don't prime long enough and we just drop like, here's a sale, people are like, well, I don't care. But if you make them care by talking about it a week or longer beforehand, by the time that your sale is there, they're actually going to be paying attention. You see this with Black Friday sales a lot. A lot of businesses will promote the fact that it's coming up. So a really good example of this is when I have a new podcast episode that's going out on a Tuesday, I will often see a really big difference in just me dropping the episode on the Tuesday or me talking about it on a Monday, hyping it up, and then the Tuesday downloads are much higher. People like to be already a little bit triggered before it happens. And in Dutch, I always tell my clients in coaching calls, this is kind of like foreplay. If you just dive right in with the sex, it might hurt a bit, might not go as smoothly, but if you do some really good foreplay, sex is going to go much more smoothly. You feel free to quote me on this. Get what I'm saying? You're priming of your audience, making them warm and hot for your upcoming offer or even your new podcast launch or your website. It's your marketing foreplay. Okay, fourth reason why your launch might not be moving as fast as you want it to move is that you might have forgotten to include a fast action bonus or some mid-card bonuses. So I personally always, and I had to learn this the hard way, by the way, I forgot about it many times and now I don't anymore, I include a fast action bonus. So that means when I'm opening up a sale, what I want to happen is that I want it to go really quickly. I want a lot of people to be interested fast. And that means that the reasoning behind this is if you're going out to dinner and you're walking through town and you see 4 restaurants and you see 1 terrace full of people enjoying their meal and 3 terraces empty, which one will you choose if you don't know the area? You're going to choose the one where a lot of people are eating, right? And this is the same thing that I want to replicate in my sales. It's a bit of social proof. I want to urge people to join all of the other people who are buying. And in order to do that, I need to get the first people in motion. Objects in motion stay in motion. So that's why at the beginning of a sale, I will always include a fast action bonus. This could be like 10 mugs or a digital PDF. It doesn't really matter what it is. And then I don't want to be talking about something 3 weeks on end without there being a little bit of a mid-cart bonus. So a mid-cart bonus doesn't have to literally mean in the middle of your opening cart, but just in general, every 7-ish days, I like there to be happening something. A bonus disappears, a welcoming session happens, a price goes up, something that I can use to give my audience a bit of a sense of urgency that they need to take action now. So bonuses, fast action bonuses, mid-cart bonuses, they are not going to work if your product is off. So what I was already saying, if your product is too broad, unclear, inefficient, if it's not what people want, you can add all of the tactics in the world, the bonuses and the discounts, it's not going to work. But even if you have a really good product, it is not going to sell itself. You will have to add some tactics in order to get people to buy faster. So the strategy, having the good product, the good tagline, the clear description, if your strategy is right, then you add the tactics to remind people to buy faster. But wanting to buy it has to do with the basic strategy of just it being the product people want. Okay, so add some fast action bonuses, mid-cart bonuses. And what I don't want you to forget, which is the 5th one, I will often have my clients text me like, hey, sales aren't going the way I want them to go. Do you have any tips? And I'm like, yeah, how long have you been talking about this? So I walk them through all of this. And then often they'll be a week out and their numbers will actually be quite okay, but they still have a lot of sales to go. And I'm like, well, if you just keep this up and if you keep on repeating until the end, based on these numbers, you're going to hit your numbers, because I know in the last 24 hours of your launch, you're probably going to hit another 20% or more of your total sales. But what usually happens is people get really, really demotivated by the end of a launch and they think, I've said this so often and people haven't bought. So you know what? I'm just going to give up. And they give up in the last 48 hours of your launch. But you don't want to do that because so many people are simply just lazy and just waiting until the end. And by the end of your launch, by the time the bonus disappears or whatever happens, or, you close it, you don't have to close it in order to create a close cart vibe. You can just have a bonus disappear or have the first session of your program start. By that time, people have been warmed up, but they just needed a reminder that they actually had to go and get the ticket for your program or for your product. So keep on repeating until the end. Do not, I repeat, do not fuck off. I noticed there's a little bit of a pattern, and I've had it too, of not wanting to look like you're trying too hard. And this is the personal stuff that comes up, right? This is where we're not objective. We're very much not objective when we're selling. We don't want to look like we're trying too hard. We want to be cool. And this is me telling you, you don't need to stay cool during a launch. You get to be like, hey, I know you're still in doubt, but I know you might want to buy. This is my offer again. This is what it can do for you. Which questions do you have? Don't try to be cool. Try to be of service and help people make the decision to buy from you. And one thing that can really help you, which is actually my 6th tip, and something I don't see a lot of people do, is stepping into a show, don't sell mindset. So this is what I like to do. Oh, by the way, so sometimes you're selling and you're like, oh, I don't know what else to talk about anymore. I don't know which posts to make anymore. Amy, give me some inspiration. Again, I have my clients asking me this. So I created a little guide, which is my promo content guide. It's 15 example posts that you can make, all written out by me, including templates, so you can fill it out with your own words and discounts and stuff. So if you want my guide, including 15 sales content examples that you can post on your Instagram, stories, captions, all of it. Just DM me on Instagram, promo content, all one word, and I'll send you the guide. It's really, really genius. I did my last launch with all of the principles from the guide, and my launch content plan was just like, say something about your launch every day. And I was like, okay. So I highly recommend you go and check out that guide. It works like a charm. And so it has to do with my 6th tip here, which is show, don't sell. When you feel like, oh my God, I have to sell, I have to be really smart, you're going to overthink, it's not going to go well. When you think about showing, it's going to be much more easy to actually talk about your product, because chances are you're in love with it. So for example, for me, I created my new membership platform, which my digital pilot challenge. I've created a workbook that's over 100 pages long. I've printed it out. I'm doing the assignments myself. I have a little checklist in Google Sheets. When I need to talk about my product, one of the easiest things I can do is just simply show my product, be like, this is what it has and this is what it has. And then people will decide for themselves like, oh, that looks like something I want. And then you add a call to action. So remember, when in doubt or when you are feeling insecure, show, don't sell. Works like a charm. And my 7th and last tip, or reason why you're not selling enough and how you get to fix it, is actually you're not cross-pollinating. And I think we've come from a time where we got away with pre-order launching something simply through email or Instagram stories or on the feed. But right now, people are in so many places at once. They're on TikTok, email, work. People are so distracted and they need to hear something a couple of times before they're like, oh yes, I needed to take action on this. So what I recommend you do is you don't do, like if you're currently struggling with your sales, it might be that you were only launching to your email list and you weren't talking about it on your socials because you're like, oh, but it was a pre-order and only people on the waitlist got access. Then I urge you to still talk about the process on your stories and on your feed and in your lives and in your general communication. If you, and maybe you've been like, oh, well, it was all super clear. I'm launching really hard. And I'm like, well, I didn't see you were launching. So yeah, because it was on my email. And if you've just felt like not a lot of people were buying, it might be because they weren't getting warmed up through other pieces of content. So in general, my recommendation would just be, if you feel like you're not selling enough, make sure you go and cross-pollinate. What I did in my last launch that brought in over 230,000 euros, a product that had not been made yet, without a big marketing team, without big ad spend, all of that. It was just simply me, emails, stories, feed. So we created an email. From that email, we made a feed post and I often made some stories about it. That was it. That was a launch plan. Every other day or so, email, feed post, story. Worked like a fucking charm. And as I was going through all of these steps with you right now in this episode, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to use a promo content guide and I'm just going to use all of that to create continuous content about my online business club on my feed. Just every other day, there's just going to be a post up from that guide and I'm just going to continue to talk about my product because I get new followers in every day. I get new people in. The product is open for enrollment. So I'm just going to go and promote it. So I guess that brings us to a last tip, is just continue to be open to learning. I think so often when we are launching, we feel like, oh, but I've tried everything and it's just not working. Honestly, in 99.9% of the cases, you haven't tried everything. It could work, but you are just your biggest enemy. It could work. Just be open to learning, be open to being a little bit like investigative about your own process. What have you done? What haven't you done? What could you be doing better to sell this product? Remember, it's not about you. It's simply about you have a product that could help people. Okay, how are we going to make people pay attention so they actually invest in a product? And then we dive in. And if you need some help, so you can kind of become less personally mingled into what you're selling. And what I mean by that is, so for example, for me, the feed posts really helped because the feed posts were prepared in Canva, the captions were set. And even when I didn't feel like selling, we just sent out the feed posts. It was really, it didn't feel personal to me. And that really helped for me to stay consistent. So if you need some help with that, remember, I'm gifting you my guide for free, including 15 different types of posts you can make for your launch. Just DM me the word promo content, all one word, on Instagram, and I'll send it over to you. Okay. Yeah. And from here, I would say let's wrap it up, and I'll talk to you next week in a new episode of the 6-Figure Secrets. Bye-bye. Oh, before I forget, by the way, I don't know if you saw this last week or heard me talking about it, but I am currently opening up some of my programs. I know some people are really struggling to hit their first 100K year, or they're working towards $1 million year. I have a couple of programs that can help with that. If you're curious as to which program might be right for you, you're currently not hitting the 6 figures yet, DM me the word 100K on Instagram, so 100K. Or if you're already doing multi-6 figures, I have a very, very exclusive mastermind, including a retreat that's coming up in a really sunny destination. It even has one-on-one access to me. It's the only program where you can get that right now. And it's my self-made millionaire mastermind. You do have to already be at multi-6 figures in order to be eligible to join. I work with an application form. I currently have my last couple of open spots for the entire year. If you're interested, DM me the word millionaire on FastForwardAmy and let's chat, because, you know, who knows? This might be the program that gets you to that million. Bye. Hey, before you go, I have something really exciting to share, because in the last year, I have been lucky enough to have clients fly all over the world to work with me. I've been selling out my mastermind programs, and people have just been literally messaging me, hey, how can I work with you? And some would say that's luck, but it's actually not luck. Over a year ago, I decided to build myself a system that would allow me to be offline, plan content ahead, and just get leads and sales in every single day. And for the first time ever, I am opening this up to teach other people how they can build their own marketing machine. So this is called my authority system. And in 90 days, I can teach you how you can become the go-to expert in your sector who everyone wants to book. We're talking getting premium clients in who want to pay you in full. We're talking premium clients who pay your worth, who don't negotiate your prices. And you are finally going to be the one who gets invited to the podcasts and the events and all of that. Now, this program is only available by invitation and spots are extremely limited. And the first people who sign up will also get a discount. So if you are tired of being the best kept secret in your industry and you want to become the authority, message me invite on Instagram and I'll send you an invite to the closed list, or just simply go to the link in the description of this episode. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on this one. Hey, before you go, I have something really exciting to share, because in the last year, I have been lucky enough to have clients fly all over the world to work with me. I've been selling out my mastermind programs, and people have just been literally messaging me, hey, how can I work with you? And some would say that's luck, but it's actually not luck. Over a year ago, I decided to build myself a system that would allow me to be offline, plan content ahead, and just get leads and sales in every single day. And for the first time ever, I am opening this up to teach other people how they can build their own marketing machine. So this is called my authority system. And in 90 days, I can teach you how you can become the go-to expert in your sector who everyone wants to book. We're talking getting premium clients in who want to pay you in full. We're talking premium clients who pay your worth, who don't negotiate your prices, and you are finally going to be the one who gets invited to the podcasts and the events and all of that. Now, this program is only available by invitation and spots are extremely limited. And the first people who sign up will also get a discount. So if you are tired of being the best kept secret in your industry and you want to become the authority, message me invite on Instagram and I'll send you an invite to the closed list, or just simply go to the link in the description of this episode. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on this one.